Welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue our boat race project. In this lesson, what we're going to do is work on the actual race course. And for that, we're going to use the terrain editor. So the first thing is, here's where we stopped last time. So we have a boat and we have some water. And what we want to do is go ahead and let's delete the terrain that we already have. That way we'll start new. So go to the terrain editor, go into the create menu and hit the clear button. Okay, it'll ask you if you want to clear all the terrain and we'll say yes. Okay. Now again, whenever working with the terrain, you want to make sure you're zoomed in. Actually, I guess it doesn't matter for this one. What we're going to do, there's actually many ways to create a racetrack, a boat racetrack. And I think this is one of the easier ways. So let me go ahead and show you what we're going to do. What we're going to start with is we're going to use the create menu to generate a large rectangle of water terrain. So we're going to go to this and let's zoom out so you can see how big this thing's going to be. And remember, the bigger you zoom out, the slower the camera is going to move when you do the camera control. And that's okay. But let me give you an idea of how big of a track I'm going to build. And yours doesn't have to be this big. Yours can be smaller. Okay, so let's see. Here in the size properties, we can decide how big this thing's going to be. And I'm going to make mine 1024. And I think that's 1024 studs. So you could make this smaller. Here's some suggestions. You could do a 512 by 512. And remember, Y is the up dimension, so you can make that a lot smaller. We could make that like 128. And that would actually be a pretty good size track. And yeah, you know what? You could make it a lot bigger than this if you wanted to. I think a 512, 128, 512 size is a pretty good size for, let's say, the first track in this game. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Oh, okay. So now we have to choose the biome. So I'm going to choose only water. And then I'm going to set the biome size to as big as possible. So that's 4096. Get rid of the caves. And let's see what this looks like when I generate. Yeah, and that's actually pretty good. And here's what it does. It actually creates kind of a ground layer. I don't know how to describe it. Kind of a rock foundation for this. Let me show you what that looks like. And that's not a bad thing. We actually don't want this to go too deep because we don't plan on being underwater very often. But look at what it does. It actually creates just a thinner layer of water on top. And we don't need it to be that thick. This is plenty thick for our boat. So this is actually pretty good. And this is a good starting place. And so the only thing I would do, let me see. I can't actually, I wonder if I can move this thing. Anyway, this is good for a starting place. And what I'm going to do, oh yeah, that's how you can move it. So if you, as you can see, my boat's already kind of in a good place. Just kind of lucked out that way. It's right above the surface. But if it wasn't, you could actually play with this position Y value to move it up and down. But luckily, I think it's because I started off centered when I what do you call it? When I started the terrain building, maybe, or maybe it's just because my spawn location and my boat were already around 0, and so this thing kind of put them in the middle. In either case, I have a good starting point for my terrain, and this is what I suggest you do. Okay, so go ahead and let's see. At this point, let me turn this off and let me move my boat and my spawn location to the edge. Okay, and that's where we're going to start to build our track. So this is a good start. So let me select both of these using Control left click. And then I'm going to get a top view and zoom out a little bit. And let me, yeah, again, I'm really far from this. So, and let me see, where is the front part of this thing? I think I think I need to move these over into this corner because that's just the direction that they're facing. But let me just check. Yeah. You can see the engine pointing that way. So both of these are selected, and I'm going to move them over into that top right corner. And let me, again, this takes forever because we're zoomed out so far. But this is a pretty good place. I'm going to put it like right here. And you can move this wherever you want. Okay, now let me show you why I did this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit F to quickly go to where my boat and spawn location are, because I want to make sure they're not too far. And actually, they're kind of perfect. They're exactly, I think they're exactly where they need to be. Let me select my boat and see if I can move him any. No, that's it. Okay, this is actually really good. And so let's test this. Go ahead and push play. And this looks great. This isn't too big, not too small. And we can move around in our boat. Fantastic. All right, that'll work. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the edge, or I'm going to make the edge visible so I can see how big I need to make my cursor or my brush. We're going to use replace. And you can see, I think this is rock. Let me zoom out. This looks like rock that it put underneath the water. And so that's the material I'm going to use up here, but you could use anything. Actually, maybe I'll just use ground. So let's go to the terrain editor, and we're going to go to the edit menu. We're going to go to replace. We're not going to use a box. We're going to use a brush. And this brush is not what I want. Let's see. I'm probably going to use, let me use this. Yeah, I'll use the cylinder. You could also use the cube. The cube would work pretty well too, just depending on what kind of look you wanted. You can try both of them. I'm going to unlock these so I can choose a different base size and height. I want the pivot position to be at the top. Whoa. Oh, look, it's doing that. Huh, I have ignore water on. I think that's why it's going to the rock. Let me see if I turn that off. Yeah, now it's okay. So with this, you definitely do not want to ignore water. Parts, I'm not going to be moving over my parts, so I can just turn that off. Okay, so I am replacing, and I'm going to replace water with ground. And let me just show you what that's going to do when I click over here. There, see, it's just going to put a nice patch of ground wherever the water is. And that's what we're going to do to make our course. So let me undo that. Okay, now let me choose a nice size. So this is really too big. So let me go up and let me change the height to, I don't know, 2 maybe. Let's see how big that is. Oh. Let me see if that works. Yeah, that works too. So a 6.2 looks pretty good. I might change this when I move to a top view to see how large this is. Let me undo. But this looks pretty good. And I really don't need the plane lock because we're going to be, yeah, that'll work fine without it. Okay. So this seems like a pretty decent brush size, just looking on the edge, right? So it covers most of the water, and we'll replace it. Let's see, any other settings? I think we're good here. Okay, let's go to a top view, and we can start to lay out our course. So let me zoom out, and perfect. Okay, so there's a couple of techniques I'm going to show you here. One thing you can do when you're doing this is just kind of click, and you will replace this stuff, the water, with ground. And what's nice is we're actually going to close this off, right? So we don't want our boat falling off of the course. So we're going to close everything off. We're going to make sure that there are walls surrounding all of this. So now let me show you a quick way to make straight edges here. So what you do is we're going to move the camera. So let me make sure I've got the right button. So I'm going to push Q. Q will move it in the direction I want. And here's how you do this. You start kind of at the top, I guess, here, and hold the left mouse button, okay? And then you're going to use Q, you're going to move the camera, and what this is going to do is move perfectly along that edge. And I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to just close this off because I don't want this guy falling off. And it is gonna go faster, so you can stop moving the camera and just move a little bit at the end. And that is perfect. I got a little bit here. Let me got it. Okay, so let me zoom out and show you what I've done. I basically sealed off the edge. And let me zoom out so you can see that whole thing. And you know what? I might do that for the entire course. That way there's no way anybody can fall off. Okay, and you see, I added an edge, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and seal this whole thing off so that there is no way to fall off. Oh, at least no way for the boat to fall off. So let me zoom in here. And then I will do the same thing I did. I'm gonna hold the left mouse button while I move the camera, and that will make a very straight edge on the outside. So let me just center this and zoom in, just so I can see that there aren't any spots being missed. Okay, and so I'm gonna start here, and that should be pretty good. Let me see, I don't wanna move A, so that's gonna move me to the left. So here we go. Click and move to the left. And it looks good. So I'm just going to go all the way around. And like I said, the longer you hold the left mouse button, the faster it will go. So when you get near the edge, you might want to let go of A and then just slowly finish it off. And that looks good. And now from here, I can actually move up. Let me see, what button would that be? Would that be E or Q? E. So I'm just going to go up from here and keep going. And I tried a few different ways to lay out this course, and this was by far the easiest that I've found. There are some ways to try and make your course that will take forever. That looks good. And now I'm gonna go, I think D. Looks good. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this off, go all the way back. And hopefully this will be about the same size as I had at the beginning. If not, I can just fix that. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, so I think I don't have anything else. No, somehow the Roblox tool is just aligning itself, so this was seamless. There wasn't a difference in sizes. Okay, so this is great. This is actually what I wanted to do first. So let me show you what we have right now. We have an enclosed pool, basically. Okay, and let me test it just to see what this looks like. So there's no way I can fall off of this. So let me go in my boat, and I cannot fall off anymore, which is great. Don't have to worry about that. And this is a pretty good sized course, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it in sections. You'll see in a second. Yeah, actually I'm gonna use the same technique I just used to break this off into kind of a grid. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, that looks really good. Or at least I think it looks really good. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my top view, and then I'm going to start making a really simple course. And okay, here's one thing you do have to consider. You might have, I don't know how many boats you're gonna put in your race. I was thinking maybe 3 or 4 for mine, but depending on how many boats you allow, you will need to make this, narrower or wider. Okay, so now since I'm only gonna have 3 boats, and actually let me move both of these. Let me turn off my terrain editor for a second, and let me select both my spawn location and my boat, and let me move them so I get a better idea. So like I said, I'm only gonna have 3 boats here. So I'm thinking something about this wide would be perfect for me. And then that'll let me, you can see I have a lot of room. I have a lot of room to make different kinds of, I don't know, turns. And this is just, okay, one thing to remember is that this is the way I like, or this is the way that I came up with to make a boat race track. But you can do whatever you want. I mean, honestly, as long as there's water and there's a start and a finish, do whatever you want. You don't even have to keep it flat. You could even have the boats go up and down, which would actually be really neat. But mine's going to be really boring. Mine's going to be these straight sections. And let me kind of lay these out. Let me show you what I'm going to do. So this first one's kind of going to go like this, that first divider. So I'm probably just going to have 3 sections for mine. So I'm going to have one here and then one here, and that's going to be mine. Just a really simple racetrack. And let me do that. So I wish there was a way to mark this. I guess the end of the, let me see if this thing grows. Okay, one thing is, oh no, it is shrinking. I was going to say I could use the end of this arrow to kind of mark where I'm starting. But I guess I can just keep it this big just to get this going. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the editor, and all of my settings are still the same. So I just have to click on and off on this if it doesn't show up. And I'm probably going to start right, let me see. Let me zoom out. Actually, let me move it this way. I just want to make these kind of the same width, right? So if I start here, then I can have another section that starts here. I'll have one here and one here. And that should look good. And and if you mess up, you can always hit Control Z. So let me just go ahead and start this. So I'm going to hold the mouse button, and then I'm going to go with the Q. Okay, here we go. And this is my next section, and it's going slowly, but it'll speed up here in a second. And you'll see what I'm doing. You'll see my very, very simple. Okay, let me slow down. Yeah, I think that's enough room right there. Okay, and then my next one is actually going to start right here. You'll see, and then go up. So I'll use the E button. So let me start, and then do E, press E. And then it'll go faster as it goes up. Yeah, and this is really the simplest boat racetrack you could probably come up with. And that's good, actually. I don't want it to be too narrow. Okay, I am done. You can see my very, very simple racetrack. I am going to add some decorations here and other stuff. But this is good for a start. That looks great. Okay, let me test this. Excuse me. Let me test this. So play. And let's see how long my course is. All right, and this shouldn't be too long. This is going to be like a very easy course. Not bad though. Looks good. The water level is just underneath the ground level. Yeah, very simple race, but it works. And this doesn't take a lot of time to lay out your racetrack this way, which is good, because some of the other ways that I tried to lay out a racetrack were just going to take forever. Okay, so this is good. Now what I'm going to do, let me see, is there anything else? Oh, let me add some decorations first, and then I'll come back and show you what else you can do with the terrain editor. So let me turn that off for a second. So let's go to the toolbox. And there are a million things you can use to decorate your racetrack. And the first one I'm going to do is let me put in a tree. And there's a really nice tree that I like to use. Let's see, where is it? I think it's Realistic Tree. I think this is it right here. And when you're doing this, if it has scripts, if you don't know how to tell if something's dangerous inside of a script, just delete them. It'll tell you how many are in there. The other thing you can do is look at the stars. This has 90 stars, and look at the approval rating. This has 93% thumbs up. If you see something like that where it's 100 or more stars and a good approval rating, this is probably a pretty safe model to use, right? There's not going to be any dangerous scripts in there. And so let me go ahead and insert it, and it'll tell me if I have any scripts. So I'm just going to press insert. Nothing. Oh, there it goes. And I don't have any scripts. So let me put a few of these on here. I'm going to make copies of this. Oh, I see. It's not centered. Okay. So let me put a few of these because I really like this tree. Okay. And let's see where else I'm going to put some of these. And I don't think they did a really good job with this tree, so I don't think it's a very large model. So it shouldn't slow my game down too much. But let me make some copies. So let me do collisions off so that it makes the copy in the same place. Animated tree. Oh wait, I didn't know this was an animated tree. Part. Weld. Nah, there is no animation that I can tell. Oh, well, at least there's no scripts. Okay. So let me go ahead and make some copies of this. So Control D, and then let me move this over here. And let me make another copy. Control D, and let me move this one. Let me move it to the other side. Okay, and then let me put one more, let's say over there. So I'm going to do Control D and move it over here. Okay, and so all I did was add a few trees, but this already looks a lot better. And actually, you know, I'm going to move this one. I'm going to move this one to the other side. I'm going to move this one right here. And I think that's as high as it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to turn collisions off, so I'm going to make sure these are all at ground level. I turn collisions on, and then I can move these there. I don't know why it didn't put them at ground level. Just make sure. So you just turn collisions on and just move them up and down so that you know that they're right on the ground, so it doesn't look funny. Okay, let me test this. Make sure they don't fall apart or anything. That looks good. So it's starting to look better. And I'm probably not going to add too much as far as decoration, but you can add whatever you want to this. Again, just be careful that the models that you insert don't have scripts if you don't know how to tell what a good script is from a bad script. But yeah, you can put anything you want in here, and there is a lot of nice stuff. I don't know what this Sakura tree is. Let me see. So 100, this is pretty good too. 108 stars, 97% thumbs up, definitely. So let me go ahead and insert this one. And no scripts. Oh, and this has like, oh, you know what? This must have a script because it's got these falling flowers. Part. Huh, so I guess these must be animations or something because it doesn't say that it has a script inside. Oh, they used a particle emitter. That's how I did it. Oh, nice. Okay, okay. So they made this kind of falling cherry blossoms effect using a particle emitter with a leaf for the image. So this is actually really nice. I'm going to have to remember this one, Sakura tree. So I'm going to make a copy of these. I'm going to put some of these on here. You can tell I like trees. So let me go ahead and put a few of these. And I wonder if it's just going to keep making... Oh, okay. I guess the particles disappear after a while. Let me put this one here. And I want to make copies of these too. So Control D, and oh, I had collisions off or on, so it's going to do this. But that's okay. I'm going to put it over here on the edge. Yeah, I really like this Sakura tree. It's really nice. Okay, and I'm going to just put one more on the edge over there. Okay, so let me move my camera a little bit, and then I'm going to do Control D again and move it over to the other edge. Maybe right here. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time decorating my course, my racetrack, but you can spend as much time as you want adding as many things as you want to this. I'm gonna have to zoom in. I can't tell if that's on the ground or not. And you can just press F, and that will get you exactly. Oh, actually, I did a good job. Okay, so these are great. Let me test this and see what this looks like. I really like this Sakura tree. Okay, let me get in my boat, and let me sit down, and let me go and see this Sakura tree in action. Very nice. Very nice. This looks great. Okay. Again, feel free to add as much decoration as you would like to your course. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you is that, so you can see my course, my racetrack is pretty boring, right? It's just 3 straight sections and a couple of turns. But you can make this more interesting. You can put stuff inside. And so this is what I was thinking you could do. So right here, let me go back to my terrain editor and should still have all of my settings. Yes. So let me do a top view so you can see what I'm going to do. And so instead of having this nice or really large section where there's nothing interesting going on, you can make this harder by putting, how can I put it? Let me see. By putting obstacles, I guess, inside of there. So instead of ground, I'm going to put rock because I think that'll look better. I'm going to do rock. Oh, wait. So I'm still going from water, but instead of going to ground, I'm going to go to rock. So it'll look like there are boulders here. And you know what? I think I should probably use, let me see. I should probably use a sphere. Let me see what that looks like. Oh, and I want this to be centered. Yeah. So it's going to look like there's boulders here. So let me put a few of these. I mean, we can always undo if this doesn't look right. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to put one here, one here. I'm going to make it so that you have to kind of go around these. Put some over here. And that'll be my first section. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So let me turn this off. Let me play this. And it should look like there are, I don't know, boulders or rocks. Yeah, jutting out from the water. And hopefully, let me see if I made these too big. Well, I think I might have. It's okay. I can undo this. Let me test it. Yeah, I guess I'll have to make these smaller because they, well, no, it's actually okay. They are kind of big. Let me make those smaller. Okay, so let me stop here. And yeah, I don't know why they look so much smaller here than they do in the game, but it's easy. It's easy to change the size of these. So let me do Control Z to get rid of these. And let me make sure I've gotten rid of all of them. Yeah, I did. Okay, so the size is too big. So instead of a 6, let's do a 4. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. So I'm going to put these on here just because I don't want them to be so large. Okay, let's try that. They still look big, but this is what we do. This is why we do this. That's actually not too bad. So it does look like they're, yeah, that doesn't look bad. Okay. And so, you know, maybe not, maybe my boulders aren't the best obstacles to put in here. We're going to put some more interesting obstacles in here in a later lesson. But I just wanted to give you some ideas on how you can make your course more interesting. Okay. So let me kind of summarize what we did. We used a large generated terrain to make the overall kind of frame for our course. And then I used replace with the water to make the edges so that the boats can't fall off. And then I kind of divided it into sections here. And you don't have to make these straight, right? Mine are straight, but you could make this curved. You could do anything you want with this. I used the toolbox to get some simple trees to decorate my track. And then I put some boulders in here just to show you what's possible with replace. And mine are boring. Mine are just, you know, little dots here, but you can do anything you want. You can make these curved, add sections where there's only one spot where you can pass, whatever you want. Okay. So I hope this gave you some ideas as far as your course. And the other thing is mine is flat and boring. You could definitely go up and down with your racetrack. Okay. So have fun.